Hi, Madge. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good, good. And welcome to all of our listeners. I hope that everyone is safe and is healthy and is around the people they love. And if you can't be around the people you love, at least try to reach out. So that those are our wishes for today. I know, Madge, prior to the show, you were talking about a severe issue that you saw on Twitter. If you want to share a little bit about it, it's a little shocking when I saw it.
Yeah, the BBC posted a migrants in India being sprayed with disinfectant, just kind of lined up and being like blasted with what looks like a fire hose filled with disinfectant. And it was reported by before they were allowed to return to their village. It's reported by an Indian journalist. Um, and they just Times of India journalist, and it looks like just a chemical solution being sprayed on them by fire department officials dressed in like hazmat suits, and it was really disheartening to see that, just because, well, for obvious reasons, but the chemicals could be God knows what they're spraying them with, um, and this is just not right.
Well,
Treating people like animals.
yeah, it looks like animals. It looks like they were herded there and they were lined up and then they're spraying them and it's just completely shocking and disheartening. And then you have people standing around taking video like this is just a normal thing. I mean, people are even driving by, people are going in their motorcycles, cars, just shocking to me. And interesting. Kanwardeep Singh um, actually said on Twitter, "Who are you trying to kill? The coronavirus, or are you trying to kill humans?" I mean,
Right.
migrant laborers, you know, are people, and they have families. They didn't just appear out of anywhere.
Right.
They like they like they're aliens. They came down on a spaceship. I mean, this is barbaric. I've never
Yeah,
seen
it is.
anything like this. Nothing. And this is in India, and that happened a couple days ago. So, yeah, take a look when you can. Oh, so bothersome. Sorry. I just started getting slightly emotional again at what is happening. And it's a
Right. And
disinfectant, right?
right, we don't know. Who knows what they're swimming? If you're going to take to that extent to spray people with a hose like that, it's it's dehumanizing. Let's assume it's a disinfectant. Let's just assume it's water and alcohol mix. Great. Is that really how you handle it? I mean, can we not do better? Is
Right.
this is this
Exactly.
really how you're going? Can you not trust the people to take care and wash their hands? They basically assume that they're dirty people that can't use their brains to wipe themselves down
Mhm.
themselves and clean themselves. And that to me is what's so sad, is that you see it happening and you don't do anything about it. And then you see it happen again and you don't do anything about it. And the next thing it could be you. And that's how, it's kind of what happened historically with terrible things like the Holocaust and all the awful things that have happened in this world, where
Well, I
people
mean, look
just
at the
sat by
Native
and
Americans in
watched.
this. Yeah, look at the Native Americans in this country. That's just a real clear example
Right.
where, they just stood by and watched and turned, to look away. And that's why we find ourselves where we're at right now.
Right. Everybody just kind of looks away. So that's why I think right now I'm not comparing that to the Holocaust, because obviously people would get mad, but I am comparing just the example of it. Um, so it's two different scenarios, what they're spraying versus what happened in the Holocaust versus what happened with Native Americans,
But it's
indigenous Americans.
right,
Go ahead.
right. But it's still an atrocity, is what I'm
It's
hearing you
awful.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. And
Right.
it's not getting that much attention. Um, So I would, I'll do my best to forward this around and make sure people see it.
Yeah, well,
Um,
they can. It happened in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh, and it's Uttar Pradesh just
Phonetically,
yeah,
yeah.
phonetically. Trying to make it easier for people to look up if they wanted to look it up. So that's where we're at, and you know, we have to do better. Like you said, we must do better. And what we it's time for us to rise. What are we gonna do? It's time for
Right.
us to rise. I've been saying that throughout this podcast, that not just this one, but all of our podcasts, united we stand. We have to, one of us has to rise, and then the next and the next and the next and the next. And that's how it's got to work. If not, we're just going to keep getting lambasted and treated like garbage and
Right.
cattle. Not
But
that
the
cattle's
majority,
garbage,
right. Right, exactly.
but
And the majority of the people that, let's just say, the people that get impacted first are maybe the ones that can't speak out as much. But just wait. When the middle class starts to get impacted and they're inconvenienced more than just being asked to stay in their homes and they're treated like cattle, maybe then people will start to pay a little more attention. Not to create some scary scenario where we're all turning into drones and doing what we're told, and but just to pay attention in terms of what's right and what's wrong. We understand that we need to be careful, we need to wash our hands, we need to not breathe on other people, and we're going to follow the rules. But it does not mean that we should be subject to stupidity like this. So,
well, it brings me to something interesting that I saw on Facebook. There's a gentleman who is on the Blaze, and he was talking about how our Constitution is under attack in this country.
mm-hmm,
Like it's not a joke. So our free speech, if you think about it, our free speech is under attack. So when people say things or post things that they're not
right,
supposed to, quote unquote, on Facebook, social media, wherever they're posting it, whether it's email, whether they even say it on the phone, all of a sudden they're being attacked. And I remember seeing this video of this guy who the FBI actually went to his house because he was taking pictures of a police station. He was well within his right to take pictures of a police station, and then he didn't post them or anything. Somebody recognized him, called the cops, okay? And then literally all of a sudden went said the so and so, that was so and so, he lives this and this address. And then he quite literally, unfortunately, had two FBI agents on his porch.
right.
And good for him, he knew the law. He was an attorney actually. So he was telling him what they could and what they couldn't do. And that was in the
Right.
state of New Jersey.
Which all is meaningless with the Patriot Act and Homeland Security. So you are not allowed to photograph. That's the thing. These departments are created because of the fact that well, I don't know, everybody knows the history, but what you're referring to in terms of the law, sure, it's law. It applies, like you said, via the Constitution, via our individual rights, via freedom of information. We're being photographed every day on the streets.
And
Cameras are everywhere.
listen,
Where's our rights?
right.
But he can't stand and take a photo, and I'll tell you why, is because of Patriot Act, because of the privacy of the police officers that are coming in and out, because they have undercover cops. So the government will claim, and those two FBI agents will claim that it is, whether it's right or wrong, is I'm not judging, but that it is a violation of that he can't do that. He can't take the photos
Well,
because
he
they're
can, because the Constitution comes
he,
first. First, it comes first
it
and was
doesn't. Not
created.
not with the Patriot Act. That's what I'm
It
saying.
was
That's
right, right,
It doesn't. They ruined
right.
it.
But the Constitution was first created. It was
Right,
created
which
first. And
right,
so
but
it's
because
supposed to apply first. And that's my whole
right.
point. that the Constitution is under attack. And that's what I was saying. And this whole thing,
I'm agreeing with you. It is
yeah,
under
it's
attack.
nuts.
But it's not just now under attack. It's been under
Under
attack
attack since,
since Patriot Act.
right,
And that's why
9/11.
people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right. That's why people were freaking out. All, I'm sure you remember we were one of the people, we were some of the people that were upset. We're like, okay, well, there is a limit. Europe has been dealing with terrorism forever, and they deal with it in ways that are vastly different than how the United States responded. So they get threats for bombs all the time, and they in the UK, and they deal with it differently, right?
Well, they've been
It
around for a lot longer than the United States.
absolutely, but our response was to basically invade everybody's privacy and come down with a sledgehammer, right?
To its own people. Right, right. So the
Right.
claim was that these terrorists came from a different place in the world, and then all of a sudden the
Right.
Americans were under attack. Now how does
Right.
that work? Now how any intelligent human being would know that that's not appropriate, it's not acceptable, and it's going against our Constitution, and we have
Right.
to do something about it. This is insane. I mean, so look at gun sales. Gun sales, the first thing that they did in
Right.
this state was freeze gun sales before
Yeah.
they even implemented. Yeah, no, that's not acceptable.
But no, but they're going to tell you they did the whole campaign, and they're going to tell you it's to protect our rights and
Oh,
to
what
make sure we're
rights?
safe. No, but this is what it is. And listen, I agree 100%. There is a definite scary element out there that wants to kill all Americans, guaranteed. There is an element out there that would love to do that. Many elements, because we've pissed off a lot of people around the globe. When I say we, I mean America. And it is a scenario that unfortunately, because we have been we're fear mongers. We're like, okay, we're gonna trust that the government, this is what they need us to do, and this is what we're gonna do. And we've got, Bush on stage at the time telling us, okay, this is what we need, and it's a definite violation, but most Americans, and if you were to go door to door taking a poll, probably are going to tell you, well, they have to do what they have to do to keep us safe.
Well,
Period.
but they keep turning the other cheek, and that's the thing. And then all of a
Right.
sudden, people are trying to say, "Hey, wait, this is what's happening. Can you not see what's going on?" And then those people are called conspiracy theorists. And
Right.
guess what? Everything that they've been saying, not everything though. I don't want to say that general blanketed statement. Um, a lot of what they were saying was actually true. And so now here we are, here we find ourselves, and basically we're fucked.
Right. We can't go back.
What
Well,
do
we
what do
can, but
No, 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 we can't go back. We can never go back. Never. There's no going back in this. There's no backwards. Even if you tried to go back and have the society in which we try, like we were, the quote unquote old society, you still have to go backwards to get there and then try to move forward from there. But you can't, because we can't erase this time from the globe. We can't erase what just happened and what we're living at this present moment. This is absolutely nuts. You know.
yeah, so back to 2001. I mean, if we go back and we could take it back, let's just say. So when the House passed it, Senate passed, and President signed the Patriot Act, it literally, under the guise of, we need to enhance domestic security because
Right,
we're combating terrorism, the
right,
counterterrorism
right.
funds.
But let me take away all your rights. That's combating terrorism right there. Yeah,
Right.
let me you can't say anything, no free speech. And that's really when it started. That's really
Right.
when it started. The madness started. And I don't know. We got to do something. And
And
now they're
talking
stripping
about it.
the guns.
Oh, go ahead.
Now they're stripping the guns, you know? So no infringement on our rights. I mean, what is that? You know? I don't know.
Right.
We're supposed to have some kind of protection for life and liberty. But
Right.
we don't have that.
No.
No.
But it's on the guy on the under the guise of we're gonna keep everybody safe because you don't want people to have guns in times of they're gonna loot or they're gonna do this or they're gonna, I might need a gun tomorrow because somebody comes to my door and tries to rob the house because there's no money because the economy has gone to hell. So that's they're doing it under the that meant I'm stating the obvious here, I know, but it's that's one side of it, right? So they want to quote unquote protect us. And on the other side of it is that you have guns in the hands of people in big cities and inner cities that are killing each other, right? So you don't want people like that to have guns that are on a regular day in a good economy shooting each other because of guns and drugs and guns, drugs, and money.
Well, it's not
But
just
it's
the inner city
yeah,
though, because there are some places that it's not the inner city that still there's issues. I've seen it with my own
yeah,
thoughts.
right. And you
Yeah,
you hear the kids that go into school, the kids that go to school and kill people with their guns out in the country, and
right in the country. Yeah,
right.
that's a
But that numerically, that doesn't shake a stick at what's happening in cities. So they use that as an example. And these people in the inner cities are not necessarily getting their guns from gun shops, right? Guns are, I don't know where to get them, but guns are probably real easy to come by in certain parts of the city if you know who to ask, right? There's a gun trade, there's a drug trade, there's a trade for everything. So it's a matter of like they're taking our rights away, but the people that, criminals are still going to have guns. And that's
well. Then there's a then there's that the issue that they're allowing a lot of different individuals to get out of jail right now, so they're setting them free.
right. The non
And
violent, they claim
and
non violent
right, and
criminals.
then there's break-ins happening right now. I know a woman who had her place broken into. Well, it was on the left side of her actually, and then on the right side of her, and then they tried to break into her house, and then that's when all hell broke loose.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, yeah. But she was,
Well, if I imagine they didn't succeed.
well, that wasn't in the city,
Oh,
was my point. That was out in the country.
right.
Yep. So, it's starting to get to that point right now. And yeah, there's definite issues. But, one interesting thing that I want to share is that we have to wake up, we have to stand, um, and we have to stand with each other. And so there has to be a sense of community. And that sense of community is us.
Right. Right.
We have to be there for each other. And
No, we'll
it's
have to
almost
be.
like going, yeah, and it's almost like going back into like tribalism, where we're a tribe. The people who are living here within close proximity to me, we're a tribe. And not to like one tribe against the other. No, we're all a tribe. It's a global tribe. Like,
Right.
that's what we have to wake up to.
And speaking of that, there's we were going to talk about farmers, remember? And food and
Oh
how
yeah, I remember. Sure.
yeah, and I before I forget, I wanted to remind you that about that. But
Yeah,
um
so I mean, for the last couple of days, we've touched briefly on, the seeds. We've talked about the bovine, and you know, and we've just talked about food rotting in general. But
and
we thought it would be important to, um, talk to a local farmer.
mhm.
And so Madge reached out, and this is what happened.
So I called Three Sisters Farm in Kankakee, Illinois, and basically I was inquiring if they're interested in being on the show and talking to us about their experience during this time and how coronavirus pandemic's affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that they're so busy right now because they're doing deliveries to the major city that they're nearest, with Chicago. And they are doing home deliveries direct to the door because there's no more farmers markets. That's how they make their money. Farmers markets, restaurants, this kind of thing. And they can't do any of that right now. They would typically bring a load to, um, the local restaurants that they have
Hmm.
contracts with or that they, work with regularly. Then there'd be people coming to their farm. There'd be deliveries to, I forget what that's called because I don't do it anymore. Community organizes like pickups where you do your drops and then they go pick up their box of vegetables. So anyway, so they're doing all of that now and they're so incredibly busy, more so than any other time, obviously, because now they not only have to deliver, they have to farm, get the seeds in the ground, pick everything, but they also have to that they're growing in hoop houses because they grow in hoop houses in addition to in the ground, and basically have
Hmm. Hmm.
everything be delivered by hand because it's everybody's scattered around the city, all the people that they deliver to that are buying from them. So that's a lot of work for them, and it would be nice in a perfect world if communities would have made some like a drop point where people you can drop your stuff and then they can come there to pick it up. But again, they can't do that because of the coronavirus. You can't have more than a few people in an area. And I get that, but we're doing it at the grocery stores. So why are you going to
But
give
essentially,
them such a hard time? Like why can't they have like a drop point that people come to? So,
well, we don't know if they do that, but essentially, the main issue is that these people are so busy that, and they're too busy to speak to us, and they're busier than ever because everyone and different people who've never ordered organic suddenly are going
right.
organic.
Right, or certified natural, since the US has made it so hard to be, USD organic, right?
Organic,
But I think they're
right?
certified natural, whatever that. So it's exactly right.
Well, they make it impossible
Yes,
for
they do.
farmers to be organic. I mean, let's be
Right,
real. There's so many things that you have to jump through, and all these laws and all these checks that you have to go through in order to be organic. And that's real because I've talked to many farmers across the United
right,
States. Many, many farmers. And with Farm Aid, that wasn't a joke. I mean, now we know what's going on.
right,
So they were trying to get rid of farms and move people in a more concentrated area, namely cities, so that they were easier to control. That was the whole thing. And that's what caused Farm Aid. And all the farmers came together as a community, as a tribe, to try and stop that.
right. And the result was
Well, I mean, we were still in the midst of doing Farm Aid. I mean, I had the blessing of attending a Farm Aid a couple years back, and I got to meet lots of the people who were involved, namely the farmers, and I had sit down conversations with them. And, it broke my heart to see grown men crying to me.
right. Yeah,
And they were crying because, this is what's happening. They were talking about the gases that are being released around their farms, and how it's just a horrendous situation. That was one of the examples of these men crying. And of course I was putting a documentary towards a documentary to get together regarding that specifically. But I don't know, it's kind of crazy
well, and
right
there
now.
are documentaries out about exactly what we're talking about, and I'm sure people can find them on
Of course.
Netflix, on Amazon. Go to YouTube and you'll hear farmer after farmer after farmer. They're afraid to speak out, but at some point, a few of them end up speaking out anyway because they're brought to near bankruptcy because the whole
Mm-hmm.
Monsanto thing and their underlings and coming to harass them at their farms and polluting, basically throwing non-GMO seeds on their organic crops. This stuff happens, and it's so gross, so
Const-
gross.
Constantly. And it all started with
Right,
NAFTA. and people need to take a look at NAFTA. And if they don't believe me, they can read up on NAFTA. They could see when it was disseminated. They can see how it went down to South America
Right.
first,
Right.
because
No,
it
yeah.
did. And so some of these governments sold their
Right.
people out. And now those same people are so upset because they realize that they're the elderly
Mm-hmm.
now, right? And now they're living through this, and now they're freaking out. And because of NAFTA, a lot of the corn was turned into GMO. And yes, I know there's so many strains of corn, and there's, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But when you're
Some people
telling
don't know.
me that, yeah, yeah, well, no, because, or they're
Right.
misinformed or they're uneducated. But when somebody who owns a farm, and many farmers come up to me and start telling me, "Oh my gosh, I can't grow my own
Or
seeds." I mean, I went to
they've
Washington,
contracts. Yeah.
D.C., okay, and I
Yeah.
talked to all these people. Yeah. And so, these farmers, even from Mexico, I've talked to farmers from Mexico. They were telling me that they can't use their own seeds that they've had generationally in their homes. They can't grow it on their own farm, on their own land that supposedly they own. I'm sorry, I had to say supposedly, because we all know that we don't truly own anything while we're
Right.
here. We don't. The government knows it can come in to anywhere, to any piece of land, and say, no, we're going to own this right now.
Mhm.
You sign away your rights.
Yeah.
When you get a loan for a home, for a piece of land or whatever, there's a part in there where you have to relinquish your land if the government
Right.
wants it.
Eminent domain. Um,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
what's really interesting, and I want to talk more about this, another time is fine, but I do want to talk more about Farm Aid because there is a 2020 Farm Aid gathering. I think it was put on hold, but yeah.
Yeah.
And farmers are going to do what farmers are going to do. So they shouldn't have to do it covertly though. And that's what's upsetting to me because I've been to farms just like you have, and I've seen them work so hard and even volunteered a few weeks of my time here and there to be able to see the ins and outs of a farm and how they're working and things they do. They work very hard for very little money, and I don't even want to give any energy to the people that criticize the subsidies because there's trade reasons that we have to do that, and there are times like now where we cannot import our food. Sorry, maybe we have no countries that we're able to import from, and we need to grow our own. That's why one of the many reasons. There's a multitude of reasons why farmers are paid to not farm land. You hear ignorant people say that all the time, and that
Yeah.
irritates me.
Yeah.
It's because of situations as now where they may need that land to plant things we are not going to be able to get from overseas. So, yada, yada, yada. But,
Well, not just overseas, but we've piecemealed this country into
right, soy and
nothingness.
corn.
So
Yes.
you go into Whole Foods, and you see avocados from Mexico, you see strawberries from Costa Rica, you see this and that from Chile. You see, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And then so okay. All right, you have a president that's saying, hey, you know what? Wake up, people. Let's wake up. We must bring our jobs back to the United States. We must do this. We must do that. Well, guess what? There's some reasoning as to why he's saying that. There
Absolutely.
must be a reason. He must know something that we don't.
Right.
And he said, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to participate in this madness.
Right.
And every time I personally, when the chances that I could, I tried to buy and support local. So there was
Yeah,
that
you do for
movement.
sure. Yeah.
Well, I grew up, I mean, my dad still has a farm. I grew up with my dad having
Right.
a farm. He started, vegetables, and then with the pigs, and then vegetables again. But I mean, I know it firsthand what it's like,
Yeah.
you know, to grow. I mean, it's a rough undertaking, and you have to be passionate and love what you do. And I can tell you something, Madge,
Mm-hmm.
that from all the farmers that I spoke to, every single one, and I spoke to many, many farmers from all over the country. Okay. And that's one thing that they were, is all of them were passionate. They were not doing this just for shits and
Mm-hmm.
giggles. They're doing it because they sincerely, honestly, from the bottom of their hearts, loved what they were
Right.
doing, loved working with the land.
Right.
And so it's time. And it is time. It's time to come back home and be home and figure out what are we going to do from this moment forward.
Absolutely.
And not to not to well, I'm going to do it. Okay? I can't help myself. I'm going to quote Donald Trump. Let's make America great
Mm,
again.
right.
People
They
misquoted
did.
him,
It wasn't even him that said it
you know.
originally.
Yeah, but let's do it. Let's come together and let's really do this, and let's do it right with our eyes wide
Right.
open, and let's stand up, cuz I don't
It
know.
was
I
Reagan
don't
that
know,
said it
man.
originally. Ronald Reagan in the 80s.
Well, you know how many people, yeah, well, oh gosh darn it, he's a Republican. You can't
But
do
that's
that.
the you know,
I mean, come
right.
on.
And but we're not, that's the thing. It's people are getting
Yeah.
way caught up in who's and hating
Yeah.
on somebody, hating on one or the other. And they've all
Yeah.
had their chance to change. All the career politicians have had their chance to change. And, you know, give somebody a
And they chose
chance to
not to.
try something
They don't
different.
bother.
Let them see
Yep.
what happens. It's it. And because they've done nothing. I don't care how many, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, all the years nothing has happened. That's why people voted for Trump. They wanted something different, even though he's a billionaire who can never relate to anybody, you or I, on a regular normal level. Okay. I get that.
Well, no, he didn't always start like that. No, 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 no. He didn't always start as a complete billionaire. No,
He
he
was a
didn't.
millionaire.
There was some type of relatability when he was much younger. Has he lost that? Probably.
He's in real estate. So you always need a level of
Right.
relatability. Real estate
Right.
investors are developers and investors are probably some of the most charismatic, goofy characters you'll ever meet in your life. So he is the perfect example of that. But
And you know that personally. I won't say why,
yeah,
but you do know that
I
person.
mean my life
Yeah.
was revolved around them for
Yep.
a short while, but I definitely
Hmm.
think that it's just give the guy a chance was what I was thinking, right? Like who knows what's going to happen. And I know that's a goofy thing to say, but that's why people voted for him because he was somebody different from the career politicians that are just trying to create more more government jobs, more stuff for themselves. I mean, that's what people were thinking. I'm not saying that's what I'm thinking, but I try to get
Yeah,
in the
no, but we're
mind
sick of it.
of people.
No, we're sick of it.
And we're sick
Yeah,
of
we're
it.
sick
So
of it.
Bernie Sanders, again, he was a career politician. He's somebody that was in the roles all these years, but he's got kids. He's got millennials thinking he's on their side. Honeys, he is not on your side. So if you're a millennial,
Well, we can
so
well, we can go deep into that, but I mean, I think that that deserves like a whole show. Like we could talk about Bernie, we could talk
nobody
about
wants to do that.
Hillary, we could talk about
No,
Trump. I mean, we could talk about that, but really it's about the people right now, honestly.
absolutely.
And I think that that's what you were alluding
Yeah.
to by saying, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're just tired. And people, and what's interesting too, I just want to add to what you were saying is that, you know, when you strip a human being bare,
Hmm.
I mean, really, we're about values and about family
Right.
and about humanity. And really, most of the people, when you get to the bottom line, they're about love and helping each other
Right.
out.
Absolutely. 100%. And if you can't see that, then you're a mutant.
Right, but that's what separates
Right.
us, right? That's really what separates us is our humanity, and there's a fundamental goodness in everybody.
Absolutely.
There's Yeah.
Give or take a
Um,
few people.
I won't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
Sorry.
yeah.
You know that you
No,
know
no.
some of them. I mean,
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
in high
unfortunately.
places that shouldn't be in high places.
And I ran the other way.
Right. And we both
And I
did.
ran the
Yeah.
other way because I didn't want to have anything to do with them. But was that the right thing to do? I don't know.
I think
You
so.
know, I don't want to wear rose-colored glasses
But
anymore.
to be around a
I'm
tribe,
sick of
you need to be around a tribe of people. And in the tribe there's always,
good people.
yeah, there's
Good
always
people.
there're going to be people that are helping each other. So people that help each other are essentially good people. And hopefully we're still communal enough in mind, like you said, a tribe to be able to help each other. So my neighbor across the street or whoever it might be, you're gonna try and help in it, whether it's a good time or a bad time, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. It brings me to a time where I was, let's see, I think I was like 10 years old or 11, something like that. And I was walking home. I believe it was a Saturday. And Saturday, usually I would take my sisters and we would go to the library or we would go ice skating or whatnot.
Fun.
And this was one of those days. And then right in front, I was just with my youngest sister, younger than I. She was the one right below me. So, interestingly enough, we were walking past a fire station and there was some snow on the ground. And I remember this woman, she was an elderly woman, and she fell. And I was freaked out because she fell in front of me. And I remember running to her, trying to help her up. And she's like, I can't get up. She started screaming. And I'm like, "Oh man, she's hurt." And then I'm like, either she busted her hip or one of her legs. So I told my sister to stay there with her, and then I ran inside to get one of the firemen, and a couple firemen came out and they were trying to help her, and I stood there and I stayed there until she was okay. And I remember the firemen and then started asking me, "Are you family?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, who are you?" I'm like, "Well, we found her and we came to get you. So we just wanted to make sure she was okay." And it wasn't until they were going to take her away, they had called an ambulance. And when I saw that she was safely in the ambulance was when I felt comfortable enough to leave.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. And I was a 10-year-old, 11-year-old child. That's how we should be with all of
Right.
us. We should be that way with each other.
Mm.
So I can count on you, you can count on me, and you know that you're safe.
Right. And at our core, like you helped just instinctively as a child, you just know right from wrong. You know, okay, this is somebody that needs help. Like I think inherently that's all in us, but because we get so tied up in the doldrums, if you have a corporate job, let's say, or you're trying to take the train to get to work every day or drive back in traffic, and you're just in this like mindset, sometimes you see people and you have time for them to help. And
Right.
you're like, oh, that's that
Right.
guy's problem. But now that when
Yep.
once you have to stop everything, you become more human. Slow it down,
Mhm.
and you start to realize as a child you're moving at a slow pace mentally, right? You're acknowledging everything in your path. So I think in like inviting our inner child back is kind of a nice idea.
Well, yeah, I didn't have to, worry about a lawsuit. I didn't have to worry about, oh, you touched her. Okay, she's gonna sue you. I didn't have to worry about putting food on the table.
Right.
I didn't have to worry about the children. I didn't have to worry about a car
Right.
payment, mortgage payment, all that stuff. So I get it.
Yeah.
But but we can't continue to live the way that we have been living.
No. No.
No. So all right. Well, Madge, it's been an awesome pleasure as always. Thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts. I really appreciate that. And our listeners, I know, appreciate what we're doing and what we're saying. And everyone out there, remember, united we stand. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. And we will be talking to you tomorrow. Much love. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, subscribe, and review. We will come at you with many more topics, and remember, united we stand. This is Mystic and Match.